Welcome back to the channel, folks. I told you when the beaches got opened up, we'd take a little ride through, so that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to talk to you about my thoughts on the pros and cons of how the hurricane relief and the aftermath and the people were. I do have some of both pros and cons. First off, let's keep in mind that everybody has different opinions. It's easy to look back at something and judge it. The response, the relief efforts was just phenomenal. I mean, I've lived in Taylor County all my life, lived through the good, lived through the bad here. I mean, we had the no-name storm, Hurricane Hermine, and numerous tropical storms in between. I don't never remember seeing as large and as organized a relief effort as what we got here, and it's quick. I mean, a lot of places had power on in 3-4 days. Coming up on the old Rudy Blakely property. I believe that's how you say it. A lot of you may remember he used to have the zebras and different things. Then Lee Bennett bought it after a while. Looked like it's still standing, some limbs down. Couldn't really tell a whole lot from the distance though. Pull in there and get us a cold drink. Looked like it's still fared pretty well from what we can see. We're gonna ease down to Adams Beach off of Dead Man's Curve. Not a whole lot of structures down here anyway, unless you go left and go down to Jabot. We're not gonna go that way. I do want to see Adams Beach, just see if it washed anything up on it. See a lot of trees down in the woods. Not a lot appear to be on the road. Pretty much looks like it always has down here. Tide looks like it's coming in. Might be going out. Hell, I can't tell. We're coming back off of Adams Beach Road on Dead Man's Curve, and we're going to head to Keaton Beach. See if we can get down there. I was very surprised at the demeanor of the people toward outside contractors. I worked at a local hardware and building supply store for 6 years roughly, up until about 3 months ago. So I know about how many contractors there are in Taylor County in the roofing industry, the plumbing industry, electrical engineering, or electrical industry. And I ran a small engine shop there, so I dealt with all the local guys who do tree work. Great bunch of guys, and the contractors, the tree guys, everybody. So this is not meant to put down or downgrade nobody. I know them all. Triple B, the Sadler Boys, the Padgetts. I mean, I could go on and on with the list of what is here. But I hear people saying, keep your money with the local people. Don't hire these outsiders, or they tried to rip me off and charge me an outlandish price. I don't think most of these people realize what they're talking about. Number one, you don't have to be rude to them. I mean, these people showed up. But mainly, let me tell you, up there at that store, I watch people come in needing the roofing. The roofers we got here are phenomenal. Well, there's not that many of them. Most people takes 4 to 5 months to get a roofer out there to give them a quote on doing a roof job, if it's a complete roof job. And then it'll take another 3 or 4 months before they're caught up enough to be able to start on your roof. Same way with the tree guys. The tree guys we got here are great. But the amount of work that was here, there's no way you could have kept that money with local contractors. Period. It'd be 2 years before you could get all this trash cleaned up and to get all that done. So I'm all about keeping my money with local people, don't get me wrong, but these people come from outside, and most of them was licensed and contracted, but yet I seen everybody on Facebook, spend your money with local businesses, spend your money at local people. I just don't think they realized that there wasn't enough local people. And then I'd hear them saying, well, this guy tried to cheat me. He told me $3,000 to clean that up. He ain't tried to cheat you. He loaded his equipment, come to Perry. He knew there was people willing to pay because he's not just offering you a service of what it's worth. He's telling you, you don't have to wait on other people for this amount of money. I'll do it right now. Right now, we'll get it done. So, he ain't tried to cheat you. If you spent $3,000 and then found out that somebody else would have done it for $500, you cheated yourself because you jumped on that bandwagon. He told you what his services was and what it would cost you, and if you agreed to that, that's on you. That's business. I mean, so I was very surprised at that. I mean, like I say, I've never seen the type of relief efforts in Taylor County that was here this time. And by being rude to people like that, a lot of them probably may not come back in another situation. I do agree with the using licensed and contracted people, but I don't understand, other than maybe the thought that the general public don't realize, there's just not that many contractors in Taylor County for the amount of damage there was. So, but once again, like I say, I believe the storm cleanup so far is just, I'm amazed at how smooth it's went. A lot of people did use those out-of-towners. They were glad to pay that money because these people were sitting on the ground with their equipment and ready to go. And so I just think that maybe sometimes it's good to do your thoughts and make your own decision and not be listening to people on social media who might be talking out their ass and don't know what they're talking about. Now, when I say everything was going smooth with the relief efforts and all, I don't really know in the lines how the lines were managed. I didn't stand in no lines. I mean, I live in Florida, have all my life. I know we're prone to hurricanes. We're always prepared for the aftermath of that hurricane. I've always told anybody around me when I ran the feed store and anywhere else living in this state, you need to be prepared for emergencies. It don't cost that much money. Hey, you should have enough canned goods, meats, fruits, and vegetables for every person in your house for minimum of a week. In that case, most of the time when you see a storm coming in, don't wait till the day before. It don't cost that much money, even for the working man. Go on down there about 3 days before it's supposed to hit, whether you believe it's going to hit or not. Fill your gas tanks up and start getting you some ice together. And that way your coolers are good and cold. Then the day before it hits and you're going to evacuate or you're not, pack all your frozen food up out of your house, put in your cooler, put your rifle in your car, and get all of your canned goods and put in your car, and a few basic supplies. You need an axe, you need a machete to cut up wood to cook your food on if it gets that bad. I mean, that's general rules in Florida. And to do all that in most households, you're not talking $100, $150. Take your food with you. Then when the storm comes and it hits, ration that food out. I mean, that makes sense. Start cooking what's in that cooler first. That's your perishables. If you don't know how to cook over an open fire, it might be a good time for you to get on YouTube and figure out how. Those people that were on Facebook complaining about out-of-town contractors were the same people that I seen in the local groups that didn't mind taking and telling people where to go and get stuff from out-of-town people that were here that was free. The general rule in the world that people have forgot is your job to prepare and take care of in the end. So you got to ask yourself, if that help don't show up, what am I going to do? And don't depend on that kind of help to always show up. You got to take a few plans for yourself. I mean, use some common sense. You live in Florida. We are the hurricane state. So just do some planning. Think ahead a little bit. It's not that hard to rotate out them canned items. That would give you, between the canned items, and most people have a week's worth of, at least minimum of a week's worth of food in their fridge. Some people more, some people less, and in their freezer. So that'd give you anywhere between at least 2 weeks worth of food that you didn't have to depend on nobody else. So just take a little initiative. Anyhow, I think things went really smooth. I'm glad to see everybody's getting back on their feet. Everything's kind of coming together. Anyhow, I appreciate y'all joining me. And hopefully the next video you're going to see, we're going to be either doing some hiking somewhere or going to a park somewhere. I'm doing a trip out of town somewhere. I mean, between the storms and job changes, and I've been homebound and I'm about sick of it. Well, you can see the damages here at the beach from the main road. And that pretty much concludes our tour. We're not going to go down any side roads this evening. It just, these people's had enough duress and problems without us going down these side roads harassing them. They've dealt with some looters and different situations. So we're just going to see what we can see from the road. Only reason we're even doing this and putting this on here so that future generations can come back and see what's went on down here and have a permanent record. I mean, YouTube been around for a long time, and I believe it will for a long time. So look at that sky. That's a pretty sky with them clouds, the blue in the background the way it is. Not such a pretty day, but that is a pretty sky. That's what I love, is just documenting what's happened and what's came about in the past and the present for the future people to be able to look back at. We're now coming into Steinhatchee. We're going to do the same thing we did over there at the beaches. We're just going to ride through on the main road. We're not going to ride through no neighborhoods and put any more stress or duress on these people. They've had enough problems. I'm sure there's enough pictures coming through on social media that you can see all the extra. We're not going to do that to people. As we are coming in, I've done noticed some workers. There's people cleaning their own place. The air is kind of filled with smoke on the sides. People burning yard debris. We're starting to see a little different story over here now. I'm seeing fires everywhere where people's burning their debris. You can see it piled up on the sides of the road, much like the rest of the county. You know, the only reason that I'm riding through these areas, I want the historical document on YouTube for people to be able to come back and look at later on. You know, 20, 40 years down the road. And YouTube's a solid platform, so it'll always be there. All right, we're coming on into Steinhatchee now. See some boats parked out here. There's Roy's. Lots of activity over here today. Lots of cleanup. A lot of work going on. We're going to try to just ride through and not be in nobody's way. There's the old Steinhatchee post office still standing. I'll see y'all later.